Living Local presents Biz Buzz 413 with your host, Jill Munson.
And before we get started with today's episode of Biz Buzz 413, a couple quick thank you shout outs. Tiger Web Designs, thanks for making us look awesome on the World Wide Web. A thank you to my company, Pop More, confidence coaching and training done differently. And of course, a huge thank you to livinglocal413.org. Welcome back to another episode. I can't even believe we've done this many. Biz Buzz 413. I am your host, Jill Munson, and this is just one small little part of Living Local 413. And the big picture is all things Hamden, Hampshire, Franklin, and Berkshire County, all the great stuff going on. So I approached the founder of Living Local, Bill Cole, and I was like, hey, let's do a podcast. And here we are, all these episodes later. And what we're doing is we're uncovering all this awesome stuff going on. So we've got like entrepreneurs, and then we've got nonprofits, and then we've got just random people doing cool things. And we're talking to all of them. So my request is if you're listening and you think, oh, I'd be great, or someone I know would be great, send those ideas in. Understand, I'll do the best I can to get back to you as quick as possible, but get the ideas into me because I don't know what's going on everywhere. I always say I have ears and they're big, but not that big. So please send them on over. We are easy to reach. All you got to do is email. It's BizBuzz. So that's B-I-Z and then B-U-Z-Z. So one Z and then two. BizBuzz at livinglocal413.org. So yes, so we're doing amazing things, including our Beyond the Biz card series. If you know someone that you think we got to get to know a little bit deeper, all the cool, fun things that they're up to and what makes them tick, make sure you send that over to us as well. Today, and I always say I'm so excited for this guest, but today I really am. But this one's just somebody that you guys reached out to me, and I'm so glad you did. I have Pam Victor, the president and founder, and AKA that means the head of happiness at Happier Valley Comedy. Hi, Pam.
Hello. So glad to be here.
Oh my gosh, even your voice is happy. I have to say, I just right out of the gate, I love your tagline, which is let's make the Happy Valley happier.
Yeah.
And yes, that's what we need because, it's a tough world out there. I don't know if people know, but there's a lot of stuff.
It's a lot of stuff. It's become more and more important to deliver our mission to make the Happy Valley happier.
Yes, very, very much so. I've known about you and the organization for a while, and I never really had the chance to figure out or find out how it came to be. I know it's a nonprofit and sort of an improv comedy theater and training center, but you do so much. You are located in Hadley, part of the 413. But tell me a little bit about how it began.
Thanks for asking. In 2014, I started an experiment to see if I could make a living doing what I love, which at that time was improv comedy. And because I'm very creative, I called it the Can I Make a Living Doing What I Love experiment.
Okay.
And I gave myself 1 year, just 1 year, exactly 1 year to make a certain dollar amount. And I wrote $16,000, which was the poverty line for a family of two at the time. Right. And I was like, not very much money, not enough money to live. It should be, higher than that. Right. But it was also way more than I could ever imagine making through improv comedy in a small town, outside of a big city.
Yeah. Because you weren't saying you wanted to go do improv on a stage in New York. You were saying you wanted to do that, but do what you loved here in the 413. So that put an extra layer of complication to it. So, okay, go on.
Absolutely. Because I was at the time homeschooling my kids. I was a stay-at-home parent, homeschooling parent. So I couldn't go to New York or Boston or Chicago, although I went out there to get trained up. I want to do it here in the Valley, which a place that I love so much. So I gave myself a year. I did all the things. I taught a class. And then those folks were like, could you teach another level? And I thought I had taught them everything I could about improv, but I said, what do you want to learn? And they answered it, and I took notes. And so I delivered that. And little by little, the curriculum grew. Somebody asked me to deliver a professional development event, and since they were going to pay me and that would go towards my dollar goal, I said yes to that. I had already been producing a monthly show at that time, so that became part of it. So, and I blogged about it. It was 2014, so we're blogging a lot.
Blogs were cool.
Went on the radio, the local radio. And talked about it 3 times over the course of the year. I lots of social media about it. So it was very, very out loud. It was very transparent of what I was trying to do, which, is scary and vulnerable, but also had the really, what a gift of getting people involved in it.
Yeah.
And even people far away were invested in my success. And so I got a lot of positive reinforcement there. So I'm a hard worker. After 6 months, I made my dollar goal. And then
girl, hold on. No, don't just gloss over that. After 6 months, you hit your goal that you wanted in a year. Can we just, like, everybody out there, snaps right now? Yes, snaps for my Pam. That's huge, because the big scary goal that we have is so often the thing that paralyzes us.
Totally.
And you showed us that you can do it. So, okay, keep going.
Yeah. And then a year after, I founded the nonprofit. And I sort of approached it like I approach improv, because improv is life. And so I didn't know how it was going to work out, but I did it anyway. Right. That is what it's. Tina Fey has a quote that says, "Say yes and then figure it out."
I love that.
So I was like, I don't know how I'm going to get, like, after the first couple classes, I was like, okay, definitely not more than 24 people in the Valley are interested in taking classes. So there were, as it turned out, in fact, there's lots of people interested in taking classes, more and more and more. And so I did, and while I was doing that, it was growing and growing, and I was, any place that there's been a nook or cranny in the Valley, I have probably taught a class or produced a show there. It's just like anywhere at all.
One of the things that I think was really cool when you and so you and a team member whose name is totally escaping me right now, and I'm so sorry. It starts with an M.
Oh, Maddie.
Yes. Emailed me, to get the introduction going. But you emailed and you said, and I want to quote you on this, although I think "check my TEDx talk" is one of the most obnoxious sentences in the English language, it does happen to be a great way to get an overview of the founding of Happier Valley Comedy. And I quote you because I do it in that fictitious voice, but it was so cute because I was like, damn, girl, you got a TEDx talk? That's big. And I am going to add the link to the notes for the podcast so people can watch that YouTube TEDx because, come on, you did a TEDx.
I did a TEDx. Yeah, that was an experience for sure.
I can't even imagine. So fast forward, you mentioned 2014. So if I'm doing the math correctly, and I got to tell you, I'm not good at math, but I've got 10 toes. So I think that means this is the beginning of 10 years.
Correct.
Like you just did your 10. So
of the experiment.
You mentioned,
and so this year marks our 10 years of being a bit in business.
Tell me about, like, what has changed for you in terms of, I mean, there's a lot. Like I'm thinking in my brain, like, oh my God, we went through like pandemic. And yes, this was really needed, but like you survived that and now you're here. And don't give away the big news yet. Because when the listener needs to know, I got to tease this a little. We got some big news coming up and I don't want you to give that away. But what's been changing through the 10 years that Happier Valley has been a business?
Well, as I was like driving from place to place in all those nooks and crannies, I would always drive a lot, of course, down Route 9 and just seeing in Hadley and being like, this is where if I ever had a theater, right? Again, big dream, like this big if. I love to just like dream big. Why not? Go for it. And worst case scenario, it doesn't work out and then I try something else. So it'd be like, this is where I'd love my theater to be. And so a few years after the experiment, like as I was doing classes, there were so many classes that I couldn't do them all alone. So I had my friend Scott Braidman teach some classes with me. And I knew I couldn't run a theater, like have a physical location by myself, because at that time I was working 24, I wasn't 20, not literally 24 hours a day, but I was working way too much. It was not sustainable by any means. And I knew
plus you had kids, right? So I mean,
kids, all those things. Yeah. And so I knew I couldn't run the theater by myself because there's all sorts of, I'm not good at math either. So I convinced my friend Scott Braidman, who has been trained in Boston, Chicago, and New York, has been performing for as long as I've been performing, even though he's like 13 years younger than me. So I was like, can you please join my company? And I figured that I would just pay him my whole salary and defer my salary if I couldn't, because like he had 2 little kids at home, and didn't, I had some at the time I was married, so I had a little bit of a financial wiggle room. So that was my thought. So I convinced him to leave his job as the produce manager at Whole Foods and join me in opening up our physical location in Hampton.
Okay.
Yeah, which was
and that was 2015-ish, like 20, somewhere around there. Okay.
No, more like 17 probably would be my.
Okay, cool. Okay, yeah.
Years after the experiment started, I think.
Oh, that's cool. I just to get an idea of like the trend. Okay, so keep going. So Scott comes,
and
poor Whole Foods.
What's that?
I said poor Whole Foods. They lost Scott.
They lost a great guy, but my gain. And now there were 2 of us making a living doing what I love. And I took a list of all the things that I didn't enjoy doing about the company, like all the numbers stuff, the QuickBooks. And then I was like, you want be the artistic director? Go ahead, you take that one. And so we just sort of split up the tasks in that way and figured it out. Because as far as a business goes, and this was quite a process for me. Like my dream was at the time to do improv comedy. It wasn't to run a business. And it took like, I think it was years that I was like kind of hating on running a business and like not enjoying it, and not even knowing that I could do it until it took me a little while. And now I'm to the point where I finally got into acceptance. Like, well, you're the president of a company, you're running a business. And then now I dig it. Like I'm actually pretty good at it. I consider myself a service leader. So I think anybody who walks in the door at Happier Valley Comedy is my boss. And it's my job to facilitate their joy and ease, which is like some core values of our company. And I love that. I mean, that is so great. And I love transparency in management, and I like getting stuff done. So then Scott and I were running the company. And then 2 years ago, we decided, yes, and this is after the pandemic, we still have too much work for 2 people. So we hired our friend Maddie Benjamin, who is our facilitator of fun. So now there are 3 busy people.
You have the coolest titles ever. Facilitator of fun. Like I would like to be the makes people laugh after noon. That would be my title, please.
Well, and Scott, of course, you can choose your own title, and Scott didn't want any of that. So he's the general manager, artistic director.
Oh my goodness. So here's my question. Would you be willing to stick around? Because I have more I want to ask you, and I'm keeping an eye on the time, and I know we like to keep our segment short. Would you hang for a part 2?
I would love to, because there's like so much more exciting stuff to talk about. We didn't even just surviving the pandemic. I mean,
well, we need to talk about surviving the pandemic. We need to share the big news. The big news. This is like big news. I just want to talk just a little improv, because I did 1 improv class. Yes, and I would just like to just do a little like just chit chat about that, and then and then we'll have to wrap because Bill told me I talk too much. So you'll come back for part 2. Thank you. For the listener, in case you're wondering what the heck am I listening to, I am Jill Munson. I am here joined by Happier Valley Comedy's Big Cheese and just the woman who makes us all smile, Pam Victor. We'll be back for part 2. She'll be sharing the big news, so don't go anywhere. This is Biz Buzz 413.